Now, a lot of folk have waited to play Resident Evil 4 Remake purely for the VR mode, but this particular game in the Resident Evil series is one I've absolutely loved since it first released on the Nintendo GameCube way back when. And the VR version on the Quest done by Armature was a truly fantastic effort of taking the original classic version of Resident Evil 4 and making it a VR game. But now we have the remake of Resident Evil 4, and when I completed it on a flat screen, it was honestly one of the best remakes of all time. Capcom kept the core of everything that made the original brilliant, but they made it look next gen and changed up the gameplay, and I honestly believe the game is all the better for it. And now, thanks to Capcom, we have the VR mode on PlayStation VR 2. And so far, some of the choices that Capcom have made have been really interesting for this free update, and playing it in VR has completely changed my playstyle. When it comes to comfort, snap turning and smooth turning is obviously here, as well as vignettes, and all cutscenes are played out on a cinematic screen. And when it comes to the really intense moments, like the lake monster, you can also play this in first-person VR mode or on the cinematic screen. These cutscenes are not 3D, but they are super high in resolution. I also love the VR menus, and how you can physically attach and detach diamonds and jewels from the items you find to increase their value and sell on. So let's talk about how the game looks on PSVR 2, and to be absolutely honest, it looks insanely detailed. Being up close and personal with the enemy now gives you an entirely new, scary and exciting perspective, and I'm definitely appreciating the game's world so much more. Having completed Resident Evil 4 Remake, I promise you, you'll see things in this game you would have missed before, and everything I've seen so far has been nothing short of amazing. There is only one downside, and that's the use of reprojection. It's pretty heavy in the dark areas, and in the menus things can get a little blurry. For example, text suffers from ghosting. So if you're sensitive to reprojection, tread carefully and take breaks. Next up is the haptics, and it's been nothing short of amazing as well. The headset haptics along with the adaptive triggers really do add a whole new level instead of playing it with a DualSense controller. Because with these two things combined, plus the visuals, the guns feel absolutely incredible. Taking shots at their knees and roundhousing never felt more satisfying. Now when it comes to the mechanics, Capcom have definitely gone for the easy user approach, meaning you only need to put one shell in to reload the shotgun. I do feel this is a missed opportunity, but you can reload it single-handed, and I'm really pleased to say that if you fire it without stabilising with your other hand, it makes the gun fly back, which I think is really cool. Now, my absolute favourite gun of the original series was the bolt-action rifle, and I was very excited to get hold of it in the VR mode. And even though it is very powerful and very satisfying to shoot, the bolt action I think will cause some people some issues, and it also feels like it doesn't quite sit right to how you hold the controllers, but you do adjust with it, and it's great fun to use once you do. Now, something I didn't expect was for the knife to take the main stage for me. Parrying is so exciting, and so is stabbing. You literally see the cuts you make on their bodies, and you can flip the knife by holding the R2 button to stab down enemies, and the animation can either be on the floor or up close in the face, and the blade goes straight into the skull and the chin, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. I also enjoy throwing the knife to break items. Unfortunately, you don't have a body in VR, but since this is really just a VR mod, I can really appreciate all the rest of the work that Capcom have done to make this happen. When it comes to the environments, only certain parts of rooms can be interacted with and destroyed, but I'm completely fine with that. You can't physically open drawers with hands, and nearly every interaction is a button press if you choose. But for myself, I like to keep it quite immersive and use the knife to break items and physically grab items as and when I can. Now, most interestingly for me, I found myself playing this so much more cautiously than any other time I've played Resident Evil. And I think it's because it's so intense. Certain bits that I've simply sat through on a couch watching it on a flat screen have had me jumping out of my skin. It's so much more scary, and I personally love playing this in virtual reality. It's now got an intensity it never had before, and by being more cautious, I find myself looking around the game world way more and taking in so much more detail. And in all honesty, when you put it all together, this is pretty mind-blowing. The enemies have gone from something nearly just to deal with to get out of the way to an actual threat. They are now real, in my space, and some are pretty big. The first time I saw the pig dude with the massive hammer, I literally shit myself, and I wanted to deal with him from a distance. And this is the power of VR and how transformative it can be. Now, you can pick up Resident Evil 4 very cheap in shops secondhand. I highly recommend you get this, and if you're on the fence about getting a PlayStation VR 2, there's already some really great games on it, and to be honest, Resident Evil 4 really does put the icing on the cake. Considering it's not even a year old, I think PlayStation VR 2 has got a great future ahead of it. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you enjoy virtual reality content, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.